Hey, it's Julie. This is the final 2025. I can't believe it. 2025 Grow Your Occupancy podcast. And we're ending with a spectacular episode. The most popular topic is sales specialist speak. And this is an incredible episode with four top performing sales directors. They're all from Primrose Retirement Communities. I met them at a sales summit last month, and they shared what they're doing and how they're doing it. They are all achieving incredible benchmarks of 100% occupancy. One, Stephanie has kept her building at 99% occupancy for the entire year. For the entire year, Megan's grown occupancy from 64% to 90%. Um, and I mean, it's just incredible things. So, of course, I always want to ask, okay, what are you doing so that you all can mirror them and take some best practices and do what they're doing. So, we're talking about, yeah, what do they do day in and day out? What's important? Controlling the controllables, outreach. Three of the four do not use aggregators. They're spending more than 50% of their time, 60 and 70% out, outreach. And for those of you that outreach is a goal for 2026, this is a really important episode. uh, Resetting the mindset. Look, everybody has, everybody's got those times, right? Where we're feeling defeated or you're having a hard day, hard times, a hard month. How do you stay motivated? So this is the episode to listen to. I appreciate you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of the year and a very incredible happy holiday and an incredible 2026. Continue to join us. Thank you for all you do to serve and all of the older adults and all of your customers and one another. Make it a wonderful holiday season. Thank you all so much. Hello, welcome to another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. This is my favorite topic. This is sales specialists speak, and I have four dynamic top performers for a very special end of 2025 episode. It might be a two-parter. Who knows? There's a lot of content to share in this episode. I attended a sales summit recently, and these four were on a panel sharing what they're doing, what they've done to have great success. And I said, I must have you on the podcast. And they are all such great people. They said that they would take time out of their day. So thank you all so much. Let's do a quick round of introductions. If you tell us who you are, your role, and maybe a little bit about your success this year. Stephanie, I'm going to start with you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Walton. I'm the sales director at Primrose in Casper, Wyoming, and I have maintained an occupancy of 99% for the year.
Is that all?
That's all.
So you have had 99% occupancy all year long.
Yes,
And how big is your building?
we have 88 units total.
88 units out in Casper, Wyoming.
Hmm.
Are you independent or assisted living?
Independent and assisted.
IL and AL.
Yes.
Fantastic, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Kudos, congratulations. That is incredible.
Thanks.
That is incredible. All right, Samantha.
I'm Samantha Marshall, and I'm the sales director in Primrose of Mansfield. Um, my success from when I started, we were in the low 80s, and I've gotten to 100%, and we have averaged about 98% for the year.
Fantastic. So you grew occupancy from the mid 80s to close to 100, and you've maintained high
Mm-hmm.
90s all year.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. And how large is your community?
We have 82 apartments,
80.
independent living and assisted.
Fantastic. Robert.
Hi, my name is Robert Brown. I'm the sales director in Lubbock, Texas. I'm at the Primrose here. Uh, I would say it's more than 2025 for me. The biggest success started with this company 3 years ago, and we're at 100% for the first time as of last week. So,
That is fantastic. I'm
so from
smiling from ear to ear.
from dirt to 100%. So, pretty excited.
From dirt to 100%. That is going to be the name of your next book. I love it. Well, congratulations, Robert. That is an
Thank you.
incredible, incredible achievement out there in Lubbock, Texas, West Texas, right?
Hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations. Fantastic. Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan Frazer, and I'm the Director of Sales at our Primrose in Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin.
And what are kind of what are some of your accomplishments for 2025 in Pleasant Prairie?
Absolutely. So we are an acquired building that was acquired by Primrose back in February of 2024. And so basically in the last 18 months, we have grown occupancy from about 64% to constantly teetering on 90%. So we're still looking for some growth, but we're getting there.
Well, that's quite a bit of growth to go from 64 to 90%. And are you also independent assisted, Megan?
Nope, we are memory care and assisted.
Assisted in memory care. And how big is your building?
We have 100 apartments.
Okay. Robert, what about you?
So we have townhome villas for independent living and then assisted living and memory care. And we have 108 apartments.
Fantastic. Well, kudos to all of you. What a year. What a year. Well, you know, I'm going to ask you what you're doing. And by the way, you are all with Primrose, right? Primrose Retirement Communities, a company that I admire a lot and for many, many reasons. So I'm going to start at the end. I like to ask for people to share advice, and people are very, very generous in sharing what advice that they would give. But I'm going to ask each one of you to think about, let's say somebody either new coming into their position, a sales position, or maybe someone who's having some challenges, right? Just kind of hitting a wall. What is one thing that you do that has yielded you success? You would give advice to say, here, do this for someone asking. And Robert, I'll start with you.
My advice is to just keep going. I know it's I mean, it's simple. Just keep pounding the rock bit by bit by bit, whether it's with certain referral partners or certain prospects, family members, whatever the case may be. Um, Stay true to yourself and continue to use your processes that you have in place, especially the great ones we have here at Primrose, makes it easy. So staying consistent in what you're doing.
So stay consistent, use
Hmm.
processes. I'm going to ask you when you say use processes, what is one process you recommend using? What what do you mean when you say that?
Well, I you know about this. This is the main one that I'm thinking of. It has everything. It has a lot of processes in it, I guess you could say. Using the playbook is really the big thing. It has everything that you need to be successful. So, utilizing that.
Yeah. So for those of you listening, Primrose is a company sales playbook. If you have a sales playbook, please follow it. If you don't, that when we're talking about systems and processes, it's really kind of the rules, right? Standard operating procedures, kind of following
Hmm.
the process of helping a customer go from reaching out, inquiry, all the way through to a move-in. So what about you, Megan? What advice would you give?
I agree with Robert. I think, kind of trusting the process and going back to the basics. So if you have referral sources that you know are consistently giving you referrals, going back, reaching out to them, reminding them that you're still here, that you have openings, or you have, our future resident club wait list that we've put together. So I think going back to those tried and true methods are the best things to do to kind of keep you moving forward because those tried and true methods are what kind of brought you where you are already.
What's one tried and true method that
One,
you,
yep,
yeah.
one tried and true method for me is actually spending time with our director of discharge planning and care navigation for our local hospital. She leads a group of discharge planners and care navigators. And I find that when I get in front of her and spend time with her, that sooner than later, typically sooner, we have a referral coming from her team. So if I feel like I've kind of hit a wall, I can just, pick up the phone, go have a meeting with her, and typically that'll turn some things around, even if it's just one referral, and even if it's just one tour. That one tour can lead to one move in, and then it kind of gets you back on track again.
Is it true that none of you use aggregators like the A Place for Mom or
Mhm.
caring.com? None of you use them?
No.
Okay.
We,
Or you,
oh,
Megan, you
we,
still do?
yeah, we have used them briefly to get us to our point, but I actually find that they don't bring us as much as what our true referral sources bring us.
Okay.
So I've had more success with the tried and true methods versus those kind of aggregators that bring people your way.
Okay. So very little use, and the rest of you don't use aggregators at all. Okay, people are going to be really interested to learn more about that. Stephanie, what about you? What advice?
Yeah, so I love to live in the mindset of urgency. And it doesn't matter how many apartments you have or if you're building a wait list. I always, act like this is the place to be. And I create that urgency for them because, it is such a wonderful place to be. And I think that passion really comes through. And, just asking for the business, right? They are relying on us. We are the experts. And, just asking them, where else are you considering? Are there any concerns that you have that would keep you from reserving that apartment you love today? Just really kind of putting the ball in their court in a way that allows them to see that this is a really great decision for them.
Samantha, what about you?
I agree with Stephanie on that. For me, I feel like we've all been there where we've felt down when we've been struggling, but creating urgency is really big, especially with those coming in the door. But also controlling your controllables. So from day one, they've really let us know, you got to make those calls, you got to do those. Like, there's reasons why we have those goals. And as long as you're reaching those, I know as much as it can be painful, it does work out. And calling somebody that maybe hasn't reached out in a couple months. Like, I've made a phone call and they're coming in for a tour, so just because they aren't reaching out to you doesn't mean they are not interested anymore. You have to keep doing that. Also, relying on your team in the community is really something that helped me, because everyone here is here to also have the same goal as to increase occupancy. So everyone here has a role in that. My team we do a lot of teamwork too. So making sure that you have a team behind you too is also, to help with that.
So when you say controlling controllables, I mean, I love to hear that. What do you guys, the rest of you, what do you think about that?
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, one of the first things, sorry, Robert, that comes to mind is, before a tour comes in or for a visit, do your tour path. Make sure the community is, looking as presentable as possible. Have your TVs on, your music in the pub. Make it feel and look how wonderful, those events are when they are taking place.
Mm-hmm. What's another one that comes to mind? Controlling controllables.
Well, I would second what Samantha said too, just about, making those phone calls because that is something when you kind of hit a brick wall and you're not able to make those personal appointments with maybe those professional referral sources, you can always pick up the phone and check in on a prospect. And, with the notes that you have and just follow up to see how that vacation was or to see, how that wedding was that they just attended. When you go through your notes and you just make those phone calls, you just never know which one that told you at some point they weren't quite ready, that when you have that conversation with them, you learn a little bit more and you learn that they are in fact ready now. And you actually just happen to call them at the perfect time.
How do you all open up a call to prospect in your database that you haven't talked to in a while? Like I don't want to bug somebody. I don't want to be pushy. And how do I start that conversation?
I think that's why it's important to put notes in, so if there's a conversation like since the last time we talked, because you don't want to just come off and say, how are you? So you want to
Yeah.
write a reason why you're calling, but also to look back at the notes because, you write those notes for a reason. And then they're going to be like, wow, like you remembered that. So bringing up, the last time we talked, I know that you were fixing up something in your house or something like that. And I wanted to see how that was going. But creating a reason to why you're calling is important. And not just, hey, how are you? Okay, not ready. Okay, goodbye. You want to
Right.
create a phone call to give them a reason to talk. And then usually they open up at that point.
Do you guys find the same thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that a lot. Leads go cold because we just don't, "Oh, I don't want to be pushy. I don't know what to say. And they're not ready. So if we're calling to say, hi, how are you? Are you ready right now? That's probably not the best way to go about it. So, and the holidays coming up, that's always a good way too, to even engage if you're nervous about making outbound calls. But to your all's point, controlling controllables, picking up the phone. Hey, Robert, I'm going to ask you, kind of shifting gears a little on the controllables. What is your, like the split of your time with outreach and inreach, like inside sales and external balancing time?
I would say probably now, of course, like I said, dirt to where we are now, it was a lot, 90%, 10% inside. And I would say probably 60% outside. And that's mainly because of we don't use those aggregators. So those relationships that we have and that we build are so important. And I think I have such a strong A team here at the community. So if someone does walk in and wants to take a look at the community, it's not something I ever have to worry about.
So for those of you listening, he said 60% outside, 60% outside. And you have a good A team.
Mhm.
For those of you that don't know what an A team is, Robert, what's an A team?
A team is the group of team members that can help show apartments, that can do visits, that can take deposits. They can do my job when I'm not in the building, I guess, essentially.
Perfect. You've got to have that, right? You've got to have an A team.
Yeah, we're
Otherwise,
all sales directors, right? I just have it on my name tag.
that's a truth. That is a truth. What about the rest of you? Is that about how much you split your time about 50-50 like that?
Mhm.
Yes.
You all
Mhm.
do?
Mhm.
Okay. And even now, will you continue with that split, with, considering this high occupancy?
Yeah.
At
I
the
think honestly for me, it actually makes me spend more time out because right now I am full with a wait list. And so even though I'm 100% full with the wait list, I still, I'm spending more of my time out because I need to keep that momentum going with creating more, helping with our wait list and also building those relationships. Because I have, in here, there's still tours, but um, my team has been very great with helping with those. So the importance of me being out right now is very high. Like I need to keep that going and reminding them that I'm still here and touching base with some new referral partners that maybe don't need an urgent need to, but someone that can have clients that are in the process of looking. So like trust officers and things like that. So I've broadened my scope a little bit.
Can we talk about outreach and your referral partners? So you are independent living, some of you assisted living and memory care. I mean, the four of you kind of represent all kind of levels of care. What are you, so you mentioned trust officers. Who are the other, kind of business types or the professionals that are most fruitful that you're visiting most often?
Financial
My
advisors have been
Financial.
really success. Trust officers actually have brought in a lot of referrals to me.
Interesting.
And then I spent a lot of time in we have like groups on the outside, like Rotary Club and things like that has helped also because there's a lot of seniors that they help. So things like that. But trust officers and financial advisors are big ones for me.
Interesting.
I think with most of my population being assisted living and memory care, my biggest relationships are going to be with the case managers or the discharge planners at our hospitals and our rehab facilities. You know, needing a place to move whenever they complete the rehab or that type of thing. Those are my biggest relationships.
Robert, how often are you sort of at the hospital or at the rehabs?
So the rehabs probably more so than the hospitals because they tend to discharge directly to the rehabs. Um, I would say at least once, maybe twice a week, because we have about three large ones. So I like to hit them all as often as I can.
Yeah. And what would you say to somebody who says to you, well, that's great, but in my area, nobody, I can't get into any of the rehabs and they all just refer to the aggregators and the local referral agencies. What would a kind of, how would you respond to that?
I would say, like I said earlier, keep pounding the rock and keep going back as much as you can. Making sure you get a meeting instead of just dropping in. No one likes to be dropped in on, unless, of course, you're coming to Tacoma community, you drop in as much as you want. But
Mhm.
nobody wants to be dropped in on, discharge planners. They're very, very busy. So scheduling a
Mhm.
meeting and an appointment and getting that appointment with them, and I think really showing the value of what your community can offer. Um, and if you can't do it, just on them what you have or talking to them about what you have, invite them into your community um, to experience your lunch so that they know what the residents that they or prospects that they're referring to are going to experience. Um, it's a lot easier to refer to some place that opposed to a name from an aggregator, in
Hmm.
my opinion.
And I was asked too, like, because Care Patrol, I don't know if anyone has that. It's really big here. And that has been a huge barrier for me. But when I go to them and they say, well, I just refer to Care Patrol and they take it off of my plate. And I said, what is she doing for you that I can't? So tell me what are things that I can do to make your job easier? And here they say, well, she calls the family. And I'm like, I can do all that, And I explained to them, yeah, that you have that, but also they typically only refer to people that they get paid by. So they're not giving all the options. And it's unfortunately that's just how it is. So when I talk to them, I'm like, I don't work with them. So typically those people that work with them don't even know about like they don't even know that's an option for them because it's not presented. So I always ask them like, what are things that they do for you that I can do? I'm very capable of doing my own referral. So usually when I tell them like I'm happy to do all those things for them, they're like, okay, so you have to make their job easier. And that's why those people refer to them because they do. It's like a social worker. They take it away from them and they do all the things. But that's what our jobs are. We get paid to do that, and so I tell them just a reminder, I can do those things too.
Very good advice. Stephanie, Megan, what about you? Relationships, business types.
Yeah, so since we are building a wait list and have been, I have been able to have more time, kind of like Samantha was saying. And so I've been having networking events for healthcare professionals. So in November, I had the Great Pumpkin Soiree. And then in January, we're going to have the Gatsby Gold Standard Gala. So it's just been a fun way to kind of give back and then also, like Robert mentioned, inviting those referral partners in to see exactly where their prospects are going to live one day.
And since I'm still on that building edge, I probably do spend a little bit more time in the building than outside of the building. But I have had some good success with kind of, like Samantha said, those trust officers, those financial planners, also those funeral homes that are looking to get folks to like prepay and prepay plan for their funeral. If I can be involved with them too and say, oh, well, while you're planning for the future, how about you also start looking at assisted living options or memory care options? Because if they're thinking into the future, then they should also be thinking about us as well.
What do referral partners and professionals like? What do they want to know? So I think, Robert, you may have said, set a meeting and, tell them about our business. I mean, people don't have this long time to sit and hear blah, 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 and they're going to forget half of or 90% of what we say. What's important, or what have you found that's important for professionals to know about you all?
I think starting with, of course, what we do, but how we can make their job on finding, I mean, because they care about where these residents go too. So I think letting them know how we can make their job easier and why we want to help them.
In what ways do they communicate to you that you could help make their job easier?
The electronic systems that they have, like hospitals, we've all started getting on those. That's an easy way for them so they don't have to sit there and fax you 1,000 pages of the referral. They also want to know how quick you can respond and how quick you can take somebody. Can you pick them up? So, I think we all have buses, so we do pick up people to make that easier so they don't have to schedule transport. They want to know everything. And they also want to know what are some ways that you keep them from readmitting from the hospital. So that's when we talk about e-care and things like that, things that we can do to better the lives of the seniors than keeping them going to the hospital, because a lot of them are frequent flyers, especially if they're living at home.
I have my nurse visit with me as well at times to the social workers, so they know, how quickly we can assess a resident, so they can get that bed per se for another person that needs their assistance, and what we offer here from a therapy standpoint, what we can continue that they're doing there type of thing
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, if you could, each one of you, describe like what are some of components of a really like if you could pull up and look on your business, because you're all running a very successful sales and marketing arm here of your business, and you're in a successful community. What are some of the components of that successful business? So if others want to emulate what you're doing, what has to be in place? Who wants to jump in?
Well, I would share, I think basically it's inherent in all the Primroses specifically are the amenities that we offer, from the buses to the pubs on site to our movie theaters to just our robust life enrichment program. I think that's something that really hits home with a lot of people. We're more than just bingo. We have a memory care that goes out on outings weekly, lunches and activities like local pumpkin farms and things like that. I think when we start talking specifically here about the life enrichment opportunities that we offer for all of our residents, people are really impressed and really wowed, and it's something that they don't expect an assisted living or a memory care to provide. And I can share that in comparison to other people in our community or other organizations in our community, I think we do offer an exceptional program for folks who live here.
Anyone else? Some of you mentioned your team.
I was gonna say, do you mind repeating exactly
Yeah,
what you
like
asked,
what,
Julie?
you meant like, I'm just thinking like what components I'm hearing like I've got a great A team,
Hmm.
we've got a great culture in place. I'm relying on, when what are some of the things that have to be in place or need to be in place to have a community that's gearing up to be, moving to 100%, or hey, I hit 100% occupancy. What are some of those components? Obviously, a salesperson who is laser focused in sales, that's controlling the controllables and making the phone calls and is doing outreach 50% or more, 60, 70% of the time, is
Hmm.
consistent, right? Is using their playbook. You've got a strong A team. You've got
Dietary, like here, like you have to have all the moving pieces. You have to have a good DON. You have to have like if you have ADON, a good ADON. You need to have a great activity department that is doing not just bingo and doing the most, because these people that live here deserve to do more than just bingo. Dietary, I mean, our chef Clementina is amazing, and she does a lot of homemade cooked meals. It's not just the same thing every week. We switch it out 7 days a week. So, our 7 week rotation. So, like, there's so many things that, like, Allison, my executive director, like, you have to have a team that when that person walks in that door, hi, what can I get? Like, everybody comes into my tour and offers them something, and it's makes them feel welcome. So everybody here has a huge piece. The nurse,
yeah.
the aides on the floor, talking about the care that you provide, maybe
Mhm.
some testimonials to share with people, because the reason why I'm able to sell this place strongly is because of our staff and the care we provide and the reputation that we've built. So
So
I think,
testimonials, great satisfaction. Yeah, Robert?
well, I was just gonna say, I think being successful for me personally is how much I genuinely care and know they're gonna have a better life here. I think, you know, being fully bought into what I'm doing, it's hard to sell what you don't believe in. But having it starts with me from the sales aspect, but every one of our A team and leadership team fully believe in what we're doing here as well. And I think once you have those pieces together, it's really it's hard to not be successful.
Not to take anything away from you all though, because every move in every day, is a lot of work. So I want to make sure that you all get the kudos you deserve, because it is something that is a huge achievement, is a huge achievement. And that's not to say everybody has a great day every day, but
Hmm.
I would say to add to that, where we say everyone is in sales, everyone is in sales, and that may not mean everyone's on the phone. But I think, Samantha, to your point, where if everyone, no matter what your job is focused on, that has that mindset of what can I do today, or how can I serve you, or how can we make the life of our resident or my team member better? That is that's being in sales. My gosh, that's huge. It's huge. Anything else that
And
you,
we open the door to the party, but all the rest of the team, they keep them there, right? They keep
yeah,
them.
that is true. That is true. And that's how you stay 100%,
Mhm.
yep.
right? That is true. Stephanie, what about you?
Yeah, I think, relying when you have people come in to visit, just hearing the residents, tell about why they are here and
Mm.
how much their life has been
Yeah.
enriched. I don't think there's anything more powerful than that, the people who are actually living here with us.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing that you don't have, each one of you isn't in like have had a perfect day every day and have had wins all the time. That that you've hit walls, or you've had those moments, or you've had those days or those months where you've had more outs than ins. What do you do to either pick yourself back up, or to stay motivated, or to keep going? What do you do?
Every open unit we have is just a lost opportunity that someone isn't getting to experience. So I think just keeping that mindset, who's going to be the next person who gets to come and live at Primrose? Like I get excited. Who's going to be that next name that we get to see and help move in and introduce them to us?
And that really that feeds you.
Hmm.
That
Yes.
is your motivator. Like this
Yes.
open apartment is a family that we're not serving.
Yes.
All right. What fuels me and inspires me is if I'm having a hard time looking back at the families that I have helped and looking at the residents who are living a better life now than they were at home, and seeing exactly, the part that I've played in that and making their life better, um, fuels me to, if I hit a rut or something like that, to keep going, that I keep going back to pounding the rock or controlling what you can control. I like to say controlling your attitude and your effort. It's not always going to go your way, but as long as you have a great attitude when you're trying to do it and you're working your tail off, you're going to be successful.
Mhm.
Yeah, I say leading measure, lagging measure is the same, saying the same thing with just different verbiage. If you're in sales, if you're making the phone calls and you're planning the tours and you're doing the outreach and you're not every day is going to be the perfect day and it's not an exact, even, perfect one-to-one ratio, but you will get, it will come. It will come. And there are days, and I'm sure you've all had months or weeks or even a day where maybe you've had three sales in a day. And people want to say, well, what did you do? What'd you do today? And just like, well, it's not what I did today, right?
Hmm.
It's just, it happened to have, it happened to come this today, right?
It's like iceberg, right? Everything we've done's
yeah.
down here. The check is just right here.
Exactly. It all fell today. And to have sales it is, I don't know what it is about sales, but it happens. And then we do know that, I think, psyching ourselves up in a positive way that, you know what, this may, okay, now I may have a little bit of time where I need to go back up the hill. But again, focusing and staying, like what motivates you all? Samantha, Megan, Rob?
For me, like I think you like in order to do this job, it's not just being a sales director and being in it for sales and the money. It's the passion that you bring to. I think passion, like my passion for Primrose and what I know what we can provide here is so strong. So yes, I've had bad days, but that's where I just kick myself in back into gear because, only you're like you can control that. You got to get out there and kind of just get back to it. And like being passionate is key because you have to be passionate in order to make, because if you're passionate about what you're selling, it's going to make people feel more comfortable to move forward with you. So I just it is hard, but those times I just start making a list of things I need to do and I get out and do it. So you just have to pick yourself back up.
Hmm.
Does that take practice or reminding, or are you all so
Yes.
used to doing it? Or, yeah.
There's
Sometimes it
times
does.
and your
I
team picks you up. Like I've had situations where I've really been down and we're so close here that everyone's like, yeah, but look at all the stuff that you have done. You can do it. You just have to remind yourself of that. It's not like there are days, I'm not going to lie, that I'm like, oh my gosh, but I look back at what I have done. I've done a lot since I've been at Primrose for this building, and I know that I can do it. I've done it. So you just have to really keep going.
I think once you realize you're not selling real estate or you're not selling an apartment, you're selling a lifestyle and you're selling a difference.
Hmm.
That helps. But I'm also very close to our team here. My executive director, she can tell when I'm in a funk, and she's pretty good about saying, "Hey, put your big girl panties on and let's get back to work." So
Snap out of it.
yeah,
Mhm.
so
I think all EDs have to reel us in sometimes.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm going to ask you just one more question. I know you have to get back into the selling and picking up the phone, but what, I know you've all worked with more than one family that's not ready right now. They're not just touring and throwing checks at you. What, can you each share a way that you've worked with a family that's taken a while to move in? Like maybe ways that you work with them, questions you've asked, ways you've
Mhm.
engaged, uh, advice you give, just. because this is the problem. This is the challenge that our sales funnels are really like, bulging in the middle, right? Because
Mhm.
we're all waiting for the new one to fall through. What about people who aren't ready right now?
It happens a lot, I will say there are some that are like, let me move in tomorrow, but I've dealt with even people that have taken so long just to even deposit. But because they're giving up their home. It's a big decision. So, you got to continue to meet with them, go do home visits, maybe go to look at some, ask them what their biggest, like, what is their biggest hesitation? And usually it's, I don't know what I'm gonna do with all my stuff, and so what I've done since working here, I've educated myself on resources. So people that can help downsize, people that can help, help them sell their things. And there's so many people and resources out in the community that like I've learned about. So then I can educate. I've done seminars on downsizing here. So seniors can come in and learn about all their resources. I've worked with moving companies to get discounts, like, so I basically want to ask them what their hesitation is and just kind of like give them all the resources I can. And usually that does help because it takes a weight off their shoulders and asking them what you can to do to help them. But I think staying consistent is a huge thing, building the relationship and the trust. Not everybody's just going to move in right away. And sometimes you take that as, oh, well, I might as well just give up. I'm not going to visit them anymore. But no, visiting them and don't just jump in. Hey, when are you ready to move in? You have to like kind of, some of them take a slower time to ease into it. So building the relationship and trust is huge, especially for the
Yes.
families.
And
Yeah.
isn't getting that deposit after 1,000 days much more sweet
Yeah.
than, right when they came in?
Yeah.
I think understanding their hesitation, right? What does ready look like to you? Type
Mhm.
questions. Building that trust and then keeping them engaged throughout this process, whether it's a home visit, uh, a text here and there. Hey, I was driving by your neighborhood. I just wanted to touch base type thing. And then creating some low commitment steps for them. Why don't you come in and have lunch with us this week? It's on me. I just want you to enjoy a nice meal. Until you get to that point when they realize, my life will be better. And the other things are going to fall in place.
Julie, a few things that you had presented to us in November have really stuck with me. I always did love to say, what does ready look like? But I've recently been taking it a step further and saying, what if mom's never ready? What does that look like? And that has been really powerful because that's pretty bold, but it's a very big truth too. So that's been wonderful. And also when you said that silence isn't a no, I love that too. Until somebody says, hey, stop calling me, they are still getting my texts. They are still getting my emails on my voicemails. So, and then I think ultimately, getting back to why someone first inquired. And
Mm.
one kind of question that I'll follow up with that is, what gets better about life if you do move into Primrose?
Hmm. Those are good questions. So open-ended questions, getting your prospect to talk,
Mm-hmm.
being consistent, not giving up, doing home visits. Megan, what about you?
I think going alongside what they've said and alongside with those home visits and learning more, it's also engaging them in the community. So I feel like the more that I can bring them through our doors, the more comfortable that they feel living here or will feel making that
Mhm.
decision to live here. So whether they're coming in for an open house or they're coming in for a prospect event or they're coming in just to have lunch or dinner and maybe even bringing their children with them, I think that grows their comfort level of being here. They're starting to already feel a little bit more about the like involved in the community or a part
Mhm.
of the community. And I will tell you in our community, our market, probably 9 times out of 10, somebody will bump into somebody they know. And whether it's one of
Mhm.
our staff and they worked with their,
Yeah.
mother or grandmother, or whether it's just somebody they bumped into that they went to church with, if I could actually get them to see all of our residents, without a doubt, they have a connection there. It's just a matter of having them come into the building enough times so they really do bump into that
Mhm.
person that they know, or I can uncover that connection that I can make and they can have dinner with that person to make them feel a little bit more at home, away from home.
Mhm.
Right. Because they
Agreed.
reached out to us, originally,
The reason.
right? We're not just, I don't know if anybody knows what a phone book is anymore, but we're not picking one up and just going down the list. So
Nope, they raise their
they
hand,
called
right?
us for a reason, right? So if they're going to raise their hand, we're going to help answer it, no matter how long it takes.
I love
And a
it.
lot of them are just like, you got to think they lived in their house for so long. You got to think and all the memories they've had there. They're interested, but it's a hard decision. So helping them guide through that is like really important. And to be that person to where like they trust you and they can come to you, because you don't want it to be like, well, when are you moving in? They want to feel like they can trust
Right,
somebody,
right.
because you just got to spend the time with them.
Yeah, they want to
Yeah,
feel like a person, not a number, right?
Hmm.
right. I only care about you when you're ready to give me a check.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would say that have practice, I'm big on practice, but we all have frequently heard objections, or frequently heard like, I'm not ready, my mom's not ready yet, or I can't convince mom. Having those questions, or I hear what you're saying, let me just ask you, and having them in your pocket. What what if mom is never ready? Or if it
Hmm.
were up to you, what would you want to do? And that way you're much more confident in having those conversations, or allowing someone to talk through. Because if we
Hmm.
if and I know you all, one thing I wanted to say when we as we wrap up is a quality that you all share is a thirst to grow, a thirst to learn, a thirst to improve. And that is something that is evident in your outcome. And it's something
Hmm.
I greatly admire in all of you. And it's that, quest for continued improvement. And, here you are sitting at where so many of people listening, admire you, and know that it's a lot of hard work, and it's a team effort. And you should be really proud of yourself, and you should be proud of your team, and you should look at, oh my gosh, look at all of these wins, right? Because there are times when we're like, oh, and you kind of get knocked down the mountain a little bit, right? But take a minute and say, wow, this is a tremendous accomplishment. And you're going to continue looking at, all right, in what ways am I going to continue to grow and develop into the new year? So I,
Hmm.
again, thank you all so much for joining me at the very final new 2025 Grow Your Occupancy podcast. Sales specialists speak, learning from the experts, Stephanie, Samantha, Megan, and Robert, all from Primrose Communities, Retirement Communities, sharing their success. Thank you all. And thank you all so much for listening. We've hit some record numbers this year in people listening and downloading and joining us and sharing. And I mean, what a wonderful, amazing, amazing community that you all serve in. And most importantly, like you said, all of the I mean, how many? Thousands, hundreds of thousands of families and people that you all and everybody in the business impact every day. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. And thank you all so much for listening to the very end. I'm Julie Podewitz, or Your Occupancy Podcast.